that Mary was forced to leave behind is unknown.
The following is a poem from the great-granddaughter of Bridget Murray, deported in 1842, travelling on the ship the Waverley and arriving in Van Diemen's Land 15th of December 1842. Bridget's circumstances are very similar to Eliza Davis, sentenced and transported from Wicklow jail. Yes, she did it. She said she did it. A heinous and unnatural crime, said the judge, and from their new world comfort, her future descendants would avert their eyes. You can come in, but just for the confinement, her relative had conceded at Christmas. Go when you are strong, in a day or two, and get it baptised. We don't want you in the house. The priest was shown the body, buried where she had no right to be. And now, to be left for days outside the barracks, waiting for Dr. Sampson to come. 3 days old at death, the body wrapped and a cap upon the head. A fine baby girl, born alive, said the midwife, lest she be complicit, and a stream of people supported her evidence. Bridget wished God Almighty had taken it, for she could not support it. Catholic, a servant for the landed gentry in Clare, and just 19, Bridget would state on arrival in Tasmania, Edmund Brady was the father of my child. I lived with him 3 years. No support in Ireland for her through the courts, unless the father openly be named. No county support for bastardy in Clare, and no baptism either. The doctor related by marriage to the Bradys, and the judge as well. It died in my arms, she said. It died in John Murray's house. I buried it in the Kyle. Paddy Mac helped me bury it. I gave it to the father of it. Each contradiction revealing her panic. I accused her of murder, said her relative. Told her not to leave it in a ditch where the dogs and pigs can eat it. Then I left her and hurried home. It's winter in Clare. The jury did not retire and no one spoke on her behalf. Death by hanging, said Torrens, the body to be buried within the grounds of the jail. They were left in ditches, submerged in bogs, overlaid or malnourished, islands unwanted. Those children who lived followed their mothers from town to town, stigmatised and ignored, their primitive sod huts torn down and the vagrants moved on. 127 commitments in Ireland in that year alone for infanticide. There were mitigatory circumstances in the case, said Judge Robert Torrens in his plea for clemency. Transportation for life, his recommendation to Lord de Grey. 7 months in prison and over 3 months on the ship to Tasmania. She was middling, said Surgeon Sam Mackay, stripped to the waist upon her arrival so they could note her particulars. She said, Edmund Brady was the father of my child. A kitchen maid, can't read or write, a Catholic, for the murder of my own child. Her skills, few as they were useful, and her convict record brief, typical of those who survived the harsh convict system. She married the young man from the Wiltshire countryside, tall and smart enough to become a constable, and rewarded for his efforts in the arrests of the notorious Nile gang. Their marriage was blessed with 7 children, and yet more tragedy claimed 3. 1 child died in a scrub fire, another from TB, and 1 more from the fall from a horse. 4 children to thrive were all that were needed to make her a founder of Tasmania. She lived in the northern Midlands, where the mist lies in the fertile plains, clearing in the warmth of the day to reveal the mountains, guarding the green valley where her children were to flourish. Her descendants are numerous. Her children multiplied with the robust, new, free immigrants, thriving in the lush, fertile valley to the east, spreading throughout the state and beyond. Some said she came from England, some that she didn't exist, and all seemed to wish it so. They killed her off in fictitious fires and merged the generations to hide the convict stain. yet she lived and loved and was loved. O'Grady to Brady, from bishops of Meath, the gentry did not get off lightly. The lands lost their value with the loss of the people. Emigration for Edmund was all that was left. Old maps reveal the traces of the families of note and the subdivided lands the poor have toiled. Tides due God's agents here on earth, and ejectment books dictate the movements and displacement of the desperate, landless poor. By Margaret Waugh, November 2013, great-great-granddaughter of Bridget Murray.
The following poetical compositions form part of a series from the accomplished pen of an unfortunate, long since passed away. This person, previous to obtaining his freedom, occupied a position on the scholastic staff of the Point Poor Youth Convict establishment located adjacent to Port Arthur in Tasmania. His first poem is called The Captive. In every path of life, keen woes in dense array awaiting stand. But who the depth of suffering knows, till banished from his native land? If o'er the exile's slumbers creep, sweep visions of the distant stand. Yet soon he wakes, and wakes to weep, as fades away his native land. And when he views with hope's bright eyes, vistas of opening bliss expand, his chains, alas, recall with sighs the memory of his native land. But oh, if beaming mercy smiles, and pity wave her angel hand, his heart forgets to grieve a while, forgets he's lost his native land. And his second poem is called My Native Land. From the sweet islands of the south that smile in sunny light, and gem the bosom of the main like stars the brow of night, across the weary length of earth and many a wide, wide sea, my soul springs back at one swift bound, my native land, to thee. Though severed far, no stem decree my fixed affections move. No frowns of scorn, no arm of might can rend thee from my love, dear as the light that rushes down in nature's merry glee. Dear as my own lifeblood art thou, my native land, to me. Full well I know thy hills are green, the vales are passing fair, that here's the beautiful and brave in pride and beauty there. I know thy deeds and arts and arms, that thou art great and free, but are these all that bind my heart, my native land, to thee? Ah no, my dearest friends are thine, and all that kindred claim, yes, she for whom my bosom burns with unextinguished flame. And he, my gentle boy, is there, who breathes but love for me, even in the midst that fate that bears me far, my native land, from thee. For these beneath the glorious blaze of southern skies I sigh, for these amidst Elysian fields the tear bedims mine eye. In vain the voice of kindred cheers, in vain the burst of glee, my bounding spirit starts away, my native land, to thee. Hope, in thy rainbow's brightness rise over skies that frown the while. Oh, spread thine arch upon the storm and bless me with thy smile. Oh, give me thy radiant hues, though parting clouds to see, one dear, sweet promise of return, my native land, to thee.